Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 17 years of broadcasting success, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience here in the South and our online audience tuning in. Thanks to our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. We're excited to welcome author Michael Walsh to our program today. Michael's celebrating a new book that I know you guys are going to want to add to your reading list. It's called Last Stands, Why Men Fight When All Is Lost. We'll talk to Michael not only about the journey in time he's able to give us, but also to look at heroes, what made them such, and also the importance of being able to not only believe in something, but also to be able to share that belief all the way to the end. If you guys are not familiar with the book, of course, we'll let you know how to find it for yourself, as well as stay connected with Michael as well online. Michael, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's good. Looking forward to the conversation.
Michael, this book is really interesting because, for one, you take us into battles and times that a lot of us may have only heard about, not really been too familiar with. But I want to talk about where the idea came from. What made you say you wanted to kind of chronicle all of these in Last Stands?
You know, I really don't know how to answer that question, Cyrus. Ideas as a writer, this is my 16th published book. It's my 16th book period, as a matter of fact. So you don't know what's going to engage your interest. And I think the most important thing to remember, the lesson I learned along the way, was you don't necessarily write a book about things you're expert in. You write a book about things you want to be an expert in. As a mentor of mine years ago said to me, if you want to become an expert in something, write a book about it. So it's what are you interested in enough to spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of your life writing and researching, and because you better really love this subject, or you're not going to do a very good job.
Right. So then that's an interesting point then, Michael. So have you always been a fan of history then?
Yes, that's true. I've always been a fan of history, from the time I was a little kid and throughout my career, which has embraced both big league journalism. I was at the Time magazine in its glory days in the 80s and 90s, to classical music, to warfare, to thrillers, to espionage novels, which I also write. That's pretty much my gamut of things that interest me.
Did you find then, I guess, to find the common thread here, did you find that kind of when looking at history that there was a common thread you found when it came to what was considered heroic and those that we look at as heroes?
Yeah, every one of these stories, in effect, is the same story. They're just variations on the theme that men fight to protect their fellow soldiers. That's it. If they get caught up in a maelstrom, and all these battles were obviously in extremis. They were last-ditch efforts that nobody planned, basically, but they just happened. The men realized that they have to follow their training, and they have to stay disciplined. They have to hold the line. They have to, if they have to retreat, as the Marines did in the face of the Chinese assault in December of 1950, they retreat in an organized fashion, which is the hardest thing, by the way, any soldier will tell you, that you can do. Usually when an army retreats, it breaks up and it panics. But in this case, the Marines did not do that, and so many of them survived that battle. But it's all about discipline and personal integrity, and these are qualities that we're obviously losing in our contemporary culture.
And it's interesting in reading the book, Michael, I marked a couple of passages that really struck me. One had to do with Custer, and I think we all have heard of Custer and think we know kind of the story of Custer. But I want to read what you actually wrote in the book, for those who have the print edition on page 246, because I thought this was interesting in the wording and how it does tie in to some of the other battles that you chronicle. You wrote this: "But this is what men do when pushed to the edge. It may not be the most attractive human characteristic, and our kinder, gentler age may recoil from what appears to be barbarity, but it is as vital and essential to masculinity, and thus in tandem with femininity, to humanity. It may not be something we like to think about, but every little boy sees himself as a warrior, fighting, sacrificing, if need be, to protect the ones he loves. To rephrase the old saw about heroes, little boys die 1,000 deaths willingly as they play at combat and war, just so that in battle they can die but once. Do you find that does kind of sum up a lot of what you share in this book, Michael, when it comes to not only the different battlegrounds, but also the individuals on them?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you're a kid and you play warrior, I don't know, do American boys still do that? We certainly did when I was a kid. You always die some heroic death. You get shot, you fall off a mountain. You've seen it a million times in the movies, and I think that's true. I think young males understand there's something very essential about masculinity, which is you're the fighter, and you're the protector, and it's not a fun job. And in any aspect of the relationship between the sexes, men die younger, they die more violently, they do more dangerous jobs. By any measure, the male life expectancy is shorter in part because of the nature of masculinity. And I wanted to emphasize that with each one of these battles, these guys went in there. Certainly at some point they realized we're really in trouble now, and how do we get out of it? And some did and some didn't. But the common thread with almost all these battles is the losing side in the last stand eventually won the war.
Well, it's a powerful book, Michael. I'm excited for our audience to be able to read it again. Michael Walsh is our guest. The book is Last Stands, Why Men Fight When All Is Lost. You can get it through our friends at Amazon.com or through your favorite bookstore. Michael, how can our audience stay connected with you?
They can find me on Facebook. I was one of the early Twitter purges when they were eliminating prominent conservative voices in American life. So no longer am I on Twitter, at least for now, but I am at Facebook, so they can find me. You just look for the book cover, and that will tell you you've got the right guy.
All right, Michael, congratulations on the book, and really appreciate the time, and looking forward to having you back on the program again.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Hey, more than welcome, and we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.